Hi everybody, welcome to Brelsford Family Homestead. I'm Darcy. Today we have a whole mess of blueberries. This is only one of the 3 boxes that I was blessed with. I am so excited and thankful to have so many blueberries, organic blueberries at that were given to me. So I want to make a few different things, but I first have to figure out exactly how many I have. I need to go through and wash these, take out any that are kind of gross in any way, and that will extend their life in the fridge if I don't process everything at once, getting any of that out and washing them. So I just rinse them off and then I put them in water with some vinegar and rinse that off. And it's a pretty easy process. It'll just take a while because there are so many. So I know for sure I want to make blueberry syrup. I've never made it before, so I thought I would bring you along. And the recipe that I'm following is from one of the ball books. It's right here. It's this one, and I'll have it linked below. But also, if you don't have this book, this recipe is on the ball website called Fresh Preserving, so you'll be able to find that. And so after you make the blueberry syrup, they have another recipe for canning blueberry butter, which is not dairy butter, but just kind of like apple butter. And you take the resulting pulp after making this syrup and you make blueberry butter. So I definitely want to do that. And so if I have more after that, then I'll try some other things, blueberry jam or jelly, that kind of thing. But those are the first 2 I want to try. I need 4 1/4 pounds, I believe it said, for the blueberry syrup, which seems like a lot. But yes, 4 1/4 pounds. But there's 36 of these, I believe. So I think we'll probably get there. Let's get these washed up. Sometimes when you have big jobs like this, it can be like analysis paralysis, or I don't have enough time in the day. And I want to encourage you don't have to do it all in one day. Like today, maybe I will just wash these and then we'll start the canning process tomorrow so that I can do some other things around here tonight. So do whatever you can so you're not feeling overwhelmed, but you get the job done. Obviously, you want all of your produce and things to be in perfect condition for canning, but I'm sure a day or 2 in the fridge is not going to hurt almost any of the things that you're doing. So unless you got like those ripe bananas, then just throw those things right in the freezer. So I'm just going to go through and just make sure that there isn't any that are really squishy or dropped one or have mold or anything like that, because I want the best for preserving like this. I got 1 whole box cleaned. This bowl is how much I need for 1 batch of the blueberry syrup, and then also for that blueberry butter. And I have all of these still left over from that 1 box. So I have 2 more boxes to work through. Can you see? I didn't wear gloves. That might take a little while to come out. So I have 2 more boxes to go through. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and go through the other 2 boxes, and then I'll get these washed and I will start canning tomorrow, because I think I'm going to do multiple batches since there's so much. I thought 4 pounds and 4 1/4 pounds would be a lot more than just a little over 7 of these clamshells, because I have like 36 of them. So if you get some of these, that's about how much you need to make a batch of this. So I will bring you back when we're all ready to get started. I finished washing the blueberries. I dried them a bit and then put these in these Ziploc bags, and there is a paper towel in there just to help with the moisture. But I just did 1 layer, and these boxes can stack inside my fridge. That way they won't get crushed. So on to preserving tomorrow. All right, we're ready to get started on that blueberry syrup. So we're gonna measure it out. I am using the syrup and the blueberry butter recipe from this book, but like I said, that is also on their website, Fresh Preserving. And just in case you have a bunch of fruit like this and you're not able to get to it all at once, it is considered a safe canning practice if you freeze your fruit when you're gonna make jams and jellies. So if you need to do that, you totally can. And I may do that with some of my blueberries, because honestly, I feel like I'm getting sick. I just was sick in December. I'm not happy about that. So we'll see, but those are things that you can do to take the load off of yourself. I've already got my dinner going in the Instant Pot chicken noodle soup, and I've got sourdough bread, so no problem. But let's try to get this done. I need 4 1/4 pounds of blueberries. So let's measure that out. So 4 pounds, 4 ounces is what we need. Yep, a little bit over. Perfect. All right, you need a Dutch oven or a stainless steel pot. I'm gonna put all of those blueberries and 2 cups of water. And then we're going to bring that up to a boil. We're gonna be crushing it with a potato masher and then letting it simmer for 12 minutes. And then we'll go on to the next step. When this is done, we will be straining it. And this is what I am going to use, this little concoction here. It's actually a stand that came with a bag that a friend gave me, that it is for straining for making jelly, but I am using my yogurt nut milk bag because the bag that was for the jelly was definitely not too big enough, but this will be helpful. It'll just drip down in and we measure the juice. If you don't have that, you can use a colander and some cheesecloth or something like that. But we definitely need something to strain the juice off from the pulp, and we're not getting rid of the pulp. This is done and ready to be put into this strainer. So let's see if I can do it without making a huge mess. Once I get all of this in here, it does say to let it set for 30 minutes. And you're not supposed to squeeze it or anything. You're just supposed to let it do its thing. I'm looking at this and the bag is sticking out a little wider than my bowl. I'm wondering if I should have used a little bit wider bowl. It's not dripping from those 2 corners yet. Okay, I think I got that good enough, but I think we need to taste this, right? Might be kind of hot. That's good. And at the moment, it is not dripping outside of the bowl. Let me show you. Minutes, and this is the juice I got. There is almost 3 cups. It said you'd have 2.5, so, and there's probably a little bit more still dripping in the bowl. We'll see. I am going to freeze this juice and freeze that pulp, because in this short period of time I've been doing this, I am feeling downhill fast. So thankfully I can take care of this all at a later date. I'm gonna put this in the freezer, and I weighed out some of the berries into various recipes so we're still gonna make these together. So for some jellies and things like that, one is going to be a no sugar with Pomona's pectin, but I'm just gonna put these things in the freezer and we'll come back once I am feeling 100%, because this is not fun. I don't want to be sick here. So I am going to also freeze this juice. I'll get the pulp out of that bag and I'll be back in just a few moments with you. Wow, guys, what was just a few seconds for you has been 15 days for me. We were not well around here, but I am feeling so much better. Thankful that is over. That's a big thumbs down from me. I hope none of you get sick like that. Let's get back to the blueberries. So we are going to be using a stainless steel pot, or you could use your Dutch oven. I do have my candy thermometer in here. We have to boil this for about 20 minutes or it reaches 220. I'm just gonna have to double check that. So it's gonna take a while. Not the juice yet, sorry. We have 3 cups of sugar, and then the remaining 1 cup of water that we're gonna boil for that time. And then after that's boiled and reaches temperature, we have our beautiful blueberry juice here. And then we have a tablespoon and a half of bottled lemon juice we're gonna be putting in, letting that boil for another 5 minutes, and then we'll be canning it up. So this one's gonna be really easy. I do have the pulp ready to make blueberry butter, so hopefully we can get that done today. If not, it will be tomorrow, and I'm gonna just do all of these blueberry things in one video so you have all of them together. So let's get this on the stove. Thought I'd show you here. I have my candy thermometer. You can pick those up at most grocery stores for a few bucks. So we're just going to be boiling this until it reaches temperature. Our water and sugar has reached temperature, so now we just need to add the blueberry juice and the lemon juice and let it boil for, bring it to a boil and let it boil for 5 minutes, and then we're canning. We're gonna be using the steam canner, so I already have some jars in there and it's hot, and I have some hot water in this pot to add to this when we get to turn it on. So this won't take long at all. We need a 1/4 inch headspace, and I believe it processes for 10 minutes, but I'm gonna go double check just to be sure. I brought this back up to a boil and just turned down the heat, so we're gonna simmer this for 5 minutes, and then we'll skim off any foam and we'll start jarring it up. It's ready. Sorry about the light, but I thought you would like this angle to see. We are going to fill this up to 1/4 inch headspace. I'm so excited to have this and to taste it. I'm sure there'll be a little bit for us to taste test. That needs a little bit more, but I'm going to go ahead and debubble this. I don't think it actually needs it. It's just a liquid. Okay. Your headspace in these things is really important, so make sure that you check that. This is going to be hot, so I'm going to use a paper towel to wipe this. Well, I'm going to use a washcloth to help me with the lid so it won't be so hot. I'm using Superb lids. And put on that like this, fingertip tight. That's going in the canner. The recipe says that this will make 4 of this size, half pints. I do have 5 jars ready because often there is a little extra, sometimes even a full jar. So I'm trying to be prepared to have a hot jar ready. Now that time I might have filled it a little too high. I'm gonna say I did. Yep, just a little. I need a spoon. I had one and I dropped it. Sorry, that was loud. Make sure you wipe those rims because this stuff is obviously going to be sticky. Need 1/4 headspace, 1/4 inch headspace, I should say. So we need a little bit more. Perfect. Wipe that rim. Got my Superb lids. Alrighty. Okay, we did get 4 jars. Plus this much, so we'll taste test that one together. I just need to add a little bit more water to my steam canner. We'll let that get up to temperature and then it will process for 10 minutes. We'll turn it off, let it sit for 5 minutes before taking it out, and we'll take a look, and then it will just sit on the counter for 12 to 24 hours. So I'm really excited to have this. Let's give this a little taste test. I'm definitely gonna have to make some pancakes or something to try this. Excuse me while I go eat this. I mean, obviously there's a lot of sugar in that. That is fantastic. If you have ever had Cracker Barrel's blueberry pancakes with blueberry syrup, yeah, that blueberry syrup. Oh, I'm so happy. And so I have more in my freezer set aside to make another batch of this, and I am so glad that I do, because 4 of these plus this little bit, that's not gonna be enough. So the next thing we're gonna do when this is done is going to start on the blueberry butter. It has to cook for a whole hour. So in a minute, we'll get everything together and I'll show you that, but so excited. Guys, definitely give this one a try. While that syrup is processing, I wanna go ahead and get everything into my Dutch oven for the blueberry butter because it has to cook for an hour before we can can it. So we just have sugar, lemon zest, fresh lemon juice, nutmeg, which I freshly grated, and the blueberry pulp that I have already processed. I didn't bring it along for that, but I'll show it to you as I put it all in the Dutch oven. Okay, I've got 3 cups of sugar. There's a 1/4 teaspoon, I think it was, of fresh nutmeg, 1.5 tablespoons of lemon juice, 1.5 tablespoons of lemon zest. Oh, that smells so good, guys. And then our blueberry pulp. If you can see, that's all been processed very smooth. Time's up on this. We'll take these out. I just have a cutting board here that I'm going to set them on, and I'll leave them on there until tomorrow, and we'll check for seal. And now I'm just going to put this on the back burner so we can start on this Dutch oven full of blueberry butter. This has to simmer for at least an hour. So those are sealing already. I'll bring you back to show you the process of this. This is just about ready, but I'm going to leave it a little bit longer. It says till it thickens and holds its shape on a spoon. I think that's just about there. I think I'm gonna call this done and ready to can. If you can see that, it really holds its shape. Let's get it jarred up. This one is also going to be 1/4 inch headspace. Since this is thicker, this definitely needs to be debubbled. I can put a little bit more in there. Going in the canner. We've got 4 jars in the canner. We've got an almost full jar that we're going to get to taste test. I was expecting to have 5 of these by the recipe, but it didn't quite make it. But it would probably all depend on how thick you let this cook down. So maybe if it wasn't quite as thick, but I am pleased. Get a taste of that. I want to make sure you can see that really well. Oh, doesn't that look good? Wow. All that lemon zest in there, even though it cooked down all that time, it's still like, pow, really bright. That is so good. That's gonna be delicious. I'm gonna have to think of all the different things I can try this on. I mean, obviously toast, just like I would apple butter that I love. This could be good in and on some baked goods. Well, I'll definitely be making another batch of this with the pulp when I make that other syrup. This is gonna come up to temperature and process for 10 minutes, just like the syrup did. Time is up on the blueberry butter. I'll do the same thing with these as I did with the syrup. I already have a sign with the syrup so I don't mix them up because I don't think they'll look any different from the outside once they're all done. But we'll come back and we'll check the seals for these tomorrow, label them and all of that. Then soon we're going to do some jam or jelly. I need to thaw out those blueberries, so we'll be back. These definitely look exactly the same. So we have a little sign so we know for sure which is which. We're going to be making the blueberry jam out of this book today. I have the little boxes of their pectin, Pomona's pectin. You can buy these online. If you have an Amish area, often you can find it in their stores. And I think that Azure Standard carries it as well. You have to check. I haven't used them yet. But I wanted to give you a tip. When you are using their pectin, part of the process is mixing up calcium water. That's what causes their pectin to set up. So when you mix it up, there is more than you need for one recipe. So I called them, like, what do we do with the extra? Does it go bad? And they said it would stay good in the refrigerator for a few months, or you can freeze it indefinitely. So I went ahead and took this silicone ice cube tray, these little hearts. It's small, so I could put 1 teaspoon worth of the calcium water in here and freeze it. And then most of the recipes I've used so far anyway call for 2 teaspoons of calcium water. So I just pop out 2 little hearts and we're good to go. So the first thing we need to do is mash our blueberries. This recipe calls for 2 1/4 pounds, but then we have to measure out so many cups. I'll have to double check what it is, and then we'll reserve the rest for some other purpose if there's some extra. So let's get to mashing. These berries blueberries have been previously frozen, so they are a little bit softer to mash. So if you want to do that and make your life a little bit easier and also let you make your jam whenever you feel like it, it is a great option. And I would recommend a dark apron like this because blueberries will splatter and stain. I've measured out our 4 cups of crushed berries. I have a little bit here that we'll do something else with. And we just need to add the lemon juice and the calcium water, and we'll put this in my pot and we'll bring this to a rolling boil. And then we need to mix the sugar here, 1 cup of sugar. And this is 2 teaspoons of the pectin. I'm gonna get a different spoon since I got that one wet. Now we're gonna stir this well, but set it aside because we're not gonna add it until after we've boiled those berries with the lemon juice and calcium water. I've got the blueberry mixture here in this Dutch oven, and we need to bring it to a full rolling boil over high heat. And then we're gonna add the sugar pectin and bring it back to a boil for about 1 to 2 minutes, and then we'll start jarring it up. So while that's heating up, I am going to be using my steam canner today. So I already have some jars inside, and it is partially filled with hot water. It's not turned on or anything, but that just keeps my jars warm. That's one way I keep them warm when doing something like this without having to have them full of water in the dishwasher or whatever. And then I already have my kettle here full of more water to boil before I get it going, because when you use these steam canners, you are supposed to have hot water in them when you get started. So this will take a few minutes. I'll bring you back before we add the sugar. This is a full boil now. See how it still bubbles even when I stir it? That's what I mean by a full rolling boil. It can't be stirred away. So we're going to go ahead and add our sugar and pectin. And keep stirring this until it's all dissolved. Now this is where this one is a little bit different, where you don't have to boil it for a period of time after this. You just have to make sure it's all dissolved and comes back up to a boil, then we're ready to can. Okay, we are back up to a boil, so it's time to can. This is supposed to make, I think, 5 of these jelly jar size, also called half pints. We need them to be 1/4 inch head space. Need a little bit more. Got that. Got my superb lids. All right, ready for the canner. There is 4 full jars, so I'm going to go ahead and top off this water. With these steam canners, you want it just right up to the bottom of the trivet or the rack that is in there. For me, it usually takes 2 of these electric kettles to fill it up. Plus I put a couple splashes of vinegar, and that just helps from the hard water and things making a buildup in your canner and on your jars. We just have to wait for this to come up to temperature, and then it processes for 10 minutes. I'm gonna go and grab the jars of blueberry syrup and blueberry butter so you can see those. Wait, I need to taste test this with you first. So there's just a little bit, not a lot, plus there's some on my spatula here, so let's give it a taste test. That's really good. Now I am rethinking my plans. Oh, what am I gonna do? Originally, I had thought that I would make another blueberry jam that called for liquid pectin, just to try a few different kinds, but that really tastes so good, and I was honestly just gonna make more blueberry syrup and more blueberry butter, which I have those jars here. This one is, oh, this one's the syrup, and this one is the blueberry butter. Now, all 4 are sealed, 4 of each one. I've already given some away, so I definitely need to make some more. This blueberry butter is fantastic. I have not made my pancakes yet to try the syrup, but that is coming up. I really like this jam too, so I have a couple more bags of blueberries in the freezer, so I'll just have to wait and see what I decide to do. That's a hard choice now. I did have to toss 1 bag of blueberries. It wasn't full, but while we were sick, I had put some in the fridge for fresh eating. But because we weren't feeling good, they did not get eaten, so that was kind of sad. But they went to the compost, so they will still produce something. And I have, I think, 2 bags left in the freezer. Both of those are 4 1/4 pounds each. There might be one more than that. I have to double check. So we're definitely gonna make more syrup and blueberry jam. I'm not gonna bring you along for that. But man, did I say blueberry jam? Blueberry syrup and blueberry butter. And if there's enough, I'll have to make some more blueberry jam. But hopefully I'll get my own blueberries and get some more blueberries later in the year. But I'll bring you back here shortly to show you the finished jam that we just made. And I'm just so thankful that I have these things on my pantry, and I've also been able to bless people with these because I was blessed with these blueberries. The time is up, and it's time to take these out of the canner. Beautiful. I just have a cutting board here. I'll leave those to sit for 12 to 24 hours, check the seal, wash them off, label them, and put them in the pantry. So if you noticed, the steam canners are a little different. When you're water bath canning, you take the lid off and let it sit for 5 minutes. But with this, you turn the heat off and let it sit 5 minutes, and then you remove the lid. So if you were wondering, that's a little bit of difference on the steam canning. If you would like to see how to use this steam canner step by step, as well as how you set it up for your property, I'll put a link to that video up here. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching the different ways that I have preserved all of those blessings of blueberries, and maybe gave you an idea of something to try. Until next time, God bless.